welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to the Vault Excel. This commentary is pertaining to day 6 of the Shawn Puffy Combs trial. Miss Dawn Bouchard has finished up her testimony. A David James, who was a personal assistant to Shawn, has testified. He will be finishing up his testimony on Tuesday. And also the former friend, who was known to Cassie for about 17 years until everything all went to shit. Let's get down to business. Court TV is the source. I wasn't going to come on to discuss the trial because that's something I really wanted to discuss that I found out this morning, but I'm going to put it all in this live, and then I'm going to come back, probably talk about something else because I'm getting behind on my other content due to talking about this nonsense. This is to go on about 7 more weeks, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you. 7 more weeks of this. Hopefully in 7 more weeks, yeah, maybe I'll be a little smaller. 7 weeks of this. 7 more weeks, this should be an ending to this. But what I'm going to get gritty on is what I found out this morning that nobody can talk about on the news because it's nasty. But I'm queen, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to put it in a delicate manner, and we're going to chop it up. Let's go with Court TV, what happened in court today, and then the real reason why I went live. Let's get down to business.
Is hearing testimony now from Cassie Ventura's former best friend, Carrie Morgan, in the Shawn Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. That's where we're heading.
Got the crown, got the crown. Got a crown for the queen, baby.
We get to the latest witness. Let's
Thank you for joining me.
Dawn Richard. How did that end? Last we checked in with you, Kelly. The gloves were off. The defense was on the attack.
Hey there, Lieutenant Julia. The gloves definitely were off. And after I did my last hit for Court TV, I made my way back into the federal courthouse. And as I was making my way inside, that's when Dawn was walking outside.
I don't know. We'll see.
With her, she was standing
Will there be more
with
arrests?
her counsel. They were walking very slowly and chit-chatting back and forth very softly about her testimony. And as I mentioned, I would not have wanted to be her on the stand, especially under cross-examination. So after my last hit, then we had the redirect. So what they tried to do, what the federal prosecutors tried to do on redirect, is to clean up some of that testimony, talking about exactly what was the context surrounding you, again, reaching out to Shawn Combs after you had witnessed several altercations between him and Cassie Ventura. Why were you reaching out? And she was indicating that she was reaching out because a friend of hers, the former member of the band that she was in, that was that Diddy Dirty Money that she was in with Shawn Combs, it was a trio, and she said her friend had wanted to get that band back together again, so that is why she was reaching out to Shawn Combs. So that was kind of how that was handled on the redirect, the recross, back again, asking, so you were afraid for your life, you thought Shawn Combs was going to kill you, but yet you continued to reach out to him. She had to say yes.
Riveting testimony, Kelly.
Very good points. And that is what everyone's going to judge according to testimony by anybody that continued to deal with him or went back in. So we got Cassie flip-flopping back and forth for 11 years, dealing with him with abuse, freak-offs. And now we have someone who was a subordinate in a girl group, Danny Kane, and the defense has a good point. He's violent. He's this. You probably had problems with him before. That's the reason why you're not in the group anymore. Why would you be reaching back out to him, knowing, one, he beats up women, he beats up Cassie, he witnessed this, and now you say, well, I only did it as a messenger because the other girl in the group wants us to get back together. Okay, so somebody's going to still say, well, why she couldn't call Shawn? If it's her pitch, if she's pitching, no, baby, it's not a bug. It's a crown, baby, for a queen. You obviously can't see. Get you some business. Anyway, as I was rudely interrupted, if this person wants to pitch the idea of getting the group back together, she should have been the one to say, I'm going to call Shawn. Okay? But naturally, you would have to talk to the other ladies to see if they would even want to go back into trying to start the group again. As you see, there's no group. I don't know that they got back together. Hello, Perspective. Thank you for joining us. Where have you been, darling? Where have you been?
talk about who's on the stand right now.
Good to see
Carrie
you.
Morgan, a long time, really childhood almost friend of Cassie Ventura, and now no longer her friend. What can you tell us about that testimony and how it started out?
Excuse me.
Interesting start to her testimony, Julia, because she got on the stand. So she met Cassie when they were 15. Cassie was 15 and she was 16. They began modeling with one another. She talked about her confidence, how Cassie was very confident and proud and had a spark, but eventually she lost that, she said, when she began to date Shawn Combs. One of the things that was interesting right out of the gate is the federal prosecutor was asking her if she wanted to be there to provide testimony. She said, no. Why are you here? Because I was subpoenaed. Really, why don't you really talk to Cassie anymore? Because she asked if she still talked to Cassie. She said, no, we haven't spoken since 2018. And the reason why, she said, because I moved on with my life and I finally was able to get away from them and their problems.
Wow, that's deep.
This witness has not yet testified about an assault that took place on her from Shawn Combs. So what she is going to be testifying to eventually is she's going to talk about being assaulted by Shawn Combs with a hanger. We're not
okay. Congratulations.
She has testified too. So
we'll have to talk about that. You got to reach out to me. We can chit chat.
She witnessed between Shawn
but hope
Combs
everything works
and
out.
Cassie, in which Shawn Combs was dragging Cassie by the hair. He would punch her, hit her. She talked about 2 times, one in Los Angeles as well as in Jamaica, and a time when she had to, as well as Cassie, had to leave the house in LA, go hide. They laid down on the concrete by some steps, waiting for the situation to calm down. So another witness who is describing the situation, the volatile situation between Shawn Combs and Cassie Ventura. She also testified to her talking to a security guard for Shawn Combs, Ruben is his name, and saying to Ruben, basically, you should do something about this, indicating that you should do something about this violence we're watching between Shawn Combs and how he's beating Cassie, and he basically indicated to her, according to his testimony, I'm not going to do anything about it.
Man,
I know you're going to be fine.
Drama inside that courtroom. Kelly Craft should be back next hour with another update. Kelly, thank you. Let's get back into the federal courthouse there. Alan Kagawa is watching with us. He's in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Martinez in the East Bay. Alan, this is your life scenario for Shawn Combs. A lot of defendants go through it, but is this sex trafficking? Is this human trafficking, which is the root of the charges against him by the federal government? It's
Hello, how you doing? Hello, thank you for joining me.
Horrific behavior. Is the government proving their case?
You're right here. There's obvious abuse. There's a lot of absolutely terrible domestic violence, and it's clear that there's a bad temper. But at this point, I'm not fully convinced that sex trafficking has been established. There's a couple ways to essentially try to force people to do things. One is by force, but another one is essentially what's known as a bit of a psychological coercion.
Let me go there, because everybody is up in the air and arguing about these charges. What has been proven, let me say this again, about the sex trafficking, okay? Because there's separate charges: sex trafficking, racketeering, and then the prostitution, engaging in prostitution by transportation. He's guilty of that charge. Let me make that clear. He's guilty of that. That's been proven. You already got a witness to come in and say, hey, and you're going to have a male escort tomorrow testify. So that means he's going to probably give the same version of whatever he did with Cassie and him. So that's been proven. You got a prostitute testifying last week to say, yeah, he paid for this. I traveled here. Woo, woo, woo. That's proven. She told you that in court, Cassie. Picked up people, took them here, flew them there. That's been proven. The racketeering and I guess the trafficking, as you hear this gentleman saying, okay, I had to think about that. You coerce them to traffic, to take them places. So will we get somebody that's going to testify to say I was forced by gun or knife, or he choked me and dragged me to the hotel or to a house, or I was drugged and they carried me in and somebody sexually assaulted me, essayed me.
And basically someone feels trapped. What I'm getting here is that there were aspects of force. And
thank you.
Trying to establish
I threw her on. I didn't feel like throwing on somebody else's hair today.
At this point, I'm not fully sure.
I'm tired, baby.
Sex trafficking. Definitely domestic violence.
This getting up and talking on this network, doing this is draining me. I just ain't got the drive, baby.
Sex trafficking, Alan. Let's talk about Carrie Morgan on the stand. She's someone who separated herself from Cassie and from Shawn Combs. Her being a former friend, someone who hasn't even spoken to Cassie Ventura in all of these years.
Long time.
How much does that help the credibility
7
of her
years.
testimony in front of the
7
jury?
years.
That certainly helps her credibility. The fact that they are not, close friends that have talked recently shows potentially a lack of bias. Oftentimes, jurors will consider the testimony of someone who's a close friend or family member, or someone that they've seen right recently as having
Good point. Good point.
the desire to help the person. Here, the fact that they haven't really talked in 3 years helps her credibility.
Thank you. Okay, so it's off already? Well, darn. Okay. Hold on. Well, I guess it's done.
It's 20%.
Dawn, former bandmate of Danity Kane. The defense, they said, grilled her, basically saying, well, why were you going back in talking to him after you know he's done these things to Cassie? He allegedly was abusive. You've been an eyewitness to his behavior. She says another member wanted to talk to him about them starting the group back up. So that's Dawn. She's done. Now we go to Mr. James. James, he's going to finish his testimony tomorrow. He was a former personal assistant. He got on the stand to talk about his dealings with them and Cassie. He warned her to leave. She needs to just leave him alone. Get on about your business. Get on somewhere. He also said, on a trip, I believe it was in Miami, he was talking to her. They were outside smoking cigarettes, and she was talking about how grueling the is, and he agreed. And then I guess that's when he was, I guess the subject came up about Shawn and get somewhere. Why don't you leave is what he asked her. She said she couldn't. She depended on him for her livelihood is what she said. So we're going to take a trip down memory lane for court today. The young lady who's a former friend. Can't really tell how she looks because she's wearing shades, arriving in court security. Okay. I'm going to skip over all that stuff they talked about last week because most of you already know what's going on. If you did not know, he's facing 70 civil complaints, including one by Richard. That's Dawn, who finished testimony today, former bandmate of Danity Kane. She has a civil suit against Shawn. Okay? This is who was called to the stand today. Former friend Carrie Morgan, that's with a K, K-E-R-R-Y. David James, former personal assistant for Shawn. And then, of course, Ms. Dawn Richard, who started off in the morning. Both had testified that Combs wielded a considerable amount of control over Ventura's life. Morgan said she would try to persuade her friend to leave the relationship, but Ventura would respond that she would lose her livelihood if she did. James, who will continue his testimony on Tuesday morning, may be prompted to discuss instances of Combs pressuring Ventura or wielding influence over her. The government is trying to establish that Ventura wasn't a willing participant in Combs' freakouts after the defense brought up several messages last week in which Ventura appeared enthusiastic but participating in the sex parties. The freakouts are at the heart of the government's charge against Combs, and that is where a lot of people are up and down about who Cassie Ventura is, the role she played in these freakouts. And one thing I need to say while I'm live, some are going to ask why she's not being charged. But we learned that when you have a star witness, anything that they could have been involved in, they can get immunity. So by law, prostitution is illegal, number one. She participated. If she searched for the men, called the men, handed them money, she is just as responsible as Shawn by law. Stay woke. I've not heard anybody mention that. That's coming from the Queen. You can say you heard it here first. By law, she is a party to the prostitution, which they have proven in court He did that. When he flew Pookie, Ray Ray, Bubba into New York, LA, London, he called them to meet. I'll pick you up. I'll send a car. Here's a Uber. What you charge? You were engaging in prostitution. When he arrived, the male escort, you handed him money. Whomever gave it to him. You were engaging in prostitution, which is against the law. So the state has proven that. Because everybody keeps questioning, I don't understand what he's charged with. Well, prostitution, that's been proven. He made a way, got them, sought them out. She's also involved in doing that because allegedly she had mentioned that, she mentioned that in court. I heard that she said she paid sometimes. So that's why I asked the question, did she have her own credit card? Was Shawn's name on the credit card? I'm confused. But then when they ask her in court, she says, no, he paid. So all that's conflicting. And I'm sick of this AI-generated shit. I'm sick of reading these people reports, them repeating back what they said. I want cameras in the court so I can hear what they said. I can see their facial expressions. That's what I want to see. I don't want to hear nobody repeating back to me how Shawn looked. He's flipping through the Bible. This one cried. This one sighed. I want to see for myself. Because there are things that I have heard on one network that another network didn't mention. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I got to now keep double backing with a short or a live to repeat something that's already been said 2 or 3 damn days ago. And I don't like doing all that back and forth. That's why I don't want to cover trials, because they're too daunting with the he said and she said. And that's another thing. The judge is going, he don't know if he want to keep letting people testify about what they saw and what they heard, which don't make no sense. How can me seeing something be hearsay? So they were trying to strike the defense some of Don's testimony from last week because they're saying it's hearsay, the defense. Well, how's it hearsay if I said he picked up a skillet and tried to hit her in the head with it? That's not hearsay. I'm standing there. So I don't understand it. But so far, the testimony has stood from Don. But all this AI-generated shit that's going on and everybody repeating what they said in the court and reading notes from the iPad and the phone, man, I'm sick of that. I want y'all to get on with this. I get it. It's the federal government. They don't want you in there for, security reasons, people's faces. But the point you got to remember, even when you go in regular court, if somebody wants something done to the witness, they can find a way to get them knocked off. Come on, let's keep it real. Another thing I heard Gene Deal say, check him out. He used to work security for Shawn. He has a YouTube channel. He said that they're paying people to wear free Diddy shirts, Shawn Combs' team, which is against the law, and that's also tampering. That's tampering to get people to now favor him on their podcast. Well, nobody's reached out to me because I ain't in New York. And if I was standing out there, you couldn't pay me $20 an hour to wear no damn free Diddy shirt. I don't know if that's true, but that's the word on the street as of yesterday, allegedly. Because I don't want nobody coming over here saying I was putting out no lies. I heard this from Gene Deal, and somebody told Gene, is that true? Shawn Puffy Combs, are you tampering with podcasters on YouTube so they can give negative commentary about Cassie, Ventura, and the witnesses? That's not nice. Lucy! Because I think we can call him Lucy after what I'm going to bring to you here in a minute. Shut your mouth. All right. So she told this guy she was afraid of losing her livelihood. This is why she stayed. James, once again, will continue his testimony on Tuesday. And once again, the government is trying to establish that she's a willing participant. Okay, a former personal assistant to Shawn Combs said in his testimony that he suggested to Cassie early in the relationship with Combs that she should bail on the crazy party life she found herself in with the Bad Boy Records mogul. David James said Ventura was outside smoking cigarettes during the trip to Miami with Combs when she said, man, this lifestyle is crazy. And he agreed based on the grueling hours and travel schedule as a Combs employee. Cassie, if it's so crazy, why don't you just leave? He asked her. I can't get out, she said, according to the witness. Mr. Combs oversees so much of my life. James said the young R&B singer told him that she depended on Combs for her career, her home, her salary. I just didn't think she could easily leave, James said. Testimony stopped for the day. Witness David James is returning tomorrow. Now, this is where the coercion comes in, okay? That's what the state is trying to say. She was coerced many times, willing sometimes for the freak offs, being in his company, having sex with him, dinner, whatever they did. And then there was, you saw the hotel beating. That was her leaving a freak off. And he didn't want her to go. Wanted to take her phone, this and that, whatever, took her bag, took it back to the room, and then security intervened and she was able to leave. So that's been proven in court now. That she wasn't willing, even though she had just had sex with him and she did what she wanted with him and that other guy in that room. We heard there was a black guy in that room. She did want to leave. You saw for yourself, he chased her. The defense is saying, no, that was just a squabble. Yeah, we admit he's rude, he's mean, blah, blah, blah. But she's a willing participant. Many people do believe she's willing. Because at some point, she has shown a pattern. She can think for herself and she can navigate for herself. But then a psychologist or somebody else will say, well, she still was groomed in the beginning. But I'm going to go deep in the belly of the beast and say, I don't know now. Not after what I've been hearing this morning by another podcaster. I got to give her credit. She did a great podcast here on YouTube. I liked her commentary. She was very objective in her commentary. And she gave me something to think about, which I've already thought about. I like to listen to everything because when it comes to true crime, you only know what's told to you. You only know what the state has brought, what they've investigated, what they've allowed to come into court, but it does not, that's everything. We have seen this time and time again where testimonies were not brought in, witnesses were not brought in, they were not interrogated, and they had vital information to a case. So you only know what's been told to you. So with Cassie, we only know what she's told us. Other witnesses, same thing. This is why some people don't believe she is what I would say a victim of the prostitution and the trafficking, because she went along even when she wasn't with him. Okay? Here we go. More about Mr. David James. He's a personal assistant to Shawn. It says, a rider is a list stipulating what a prominent guest would like in their room. Whatever that means. Let me start back. David James, a former personal assistant to Shawn Combs, said that the former Bad Boy chairman had a relatively unique rider when he would stay at hotels. A rider is a list stipulating what a prominent guest would like in their room. This is new to me. James said he would prepare riders for Combs for hotels as well as green rooms and music venues. He didn't elaborate on what was in the riders, but it's fair to say the government will return to that. James also described being told by Combs' various security guards to stay in his lane when he would ask too many questions. James said he understood what that to mean, do the job I was hired to do and only that job. So did James ever ask Shawn something personal? He had to for him to say stay in your lane. So he must have said something Shawn didn't like. Are you going to elaborate and tell us what you said or didn't say? David testified that he applied to work for Shawn after seeing a New York Times story noting the Bad Boy chairman was seeking a personal assistant. James was hoping to break into the fashion industry at the time, he said. James described the interaction he had with the head of human resources at Bad Boy during the interview process. James said she pointed to a picture of Combs on the wall and told him, this is Mr. Combs' kingdom. We are all here to serve in it. Oh, okay. He described his interview with Combs as professional, at one point quoting a popular Combs catchphrase, can't stop, won't stop, when talking about his work ethic. Combs liked that, James recalled. Whatever. I don't mean to be biased, because some people are going to say, Queen, don't do it, but you know I will. He was trying to enter the fashion industry. Well, most men that enter the fashion industry are usually homosexual men. I don't mean to be biased, but Mr. James, are you gay? I'm just asking, because we have learned that Shawn likes men. He likes boys, he likes men. I'd like to see what Mr. James looks like. Is he light-skinned, dark-skinned, pretty hair? Oh yeah, Queen gonna go there. I don't sugarcoat nothing over here. I want to know how he looks. Because I know Shawn is meticulous about everything. That's been proven. That's been proven. So I'd like to know how this Mr. James looks and how he looked then when he worked for him. I also like to know why he no longer works for him. I'm sure we'll hear that tomorrow in court, why he stopped working for or was fired, blah, blah, blah. We will see. Okay. Testimony pertaining to her friend, Miss Carrie Morgan. From your perspective, they were very much in love. Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, asked the witness, Miss Morgan. Morgan testified on cross-examination that Ventura and Combs were in love and that it was mutual from her perspective. She agreed with Agnifilo's premise that Combs was a flawed person. Well, one could say they were not in love. She was in lust and he was in lust, and he just used her. Because I don't believe Shawn Combs has ever loved anybody. That's my personal opinion. Okay, the lawyer says maybe trying to soften the jury's perspective of Combs, and he appears to be using Morgan to introduce evidence of the many trips and outings that she, Ventura, and others enjoyed in Combs' presence. They attended Burning Man, went to Italy, and enjoyed other trips and events. Morgan admitted that while she sometimes told Ventura to break up with Combs, she told her to remain in the relationship on other occasions. Morgan was personally assaulted by Combs with a wooden hanger in 2018, giving her a concussion and leaving her shaken. The witness stopped talking to Ventura after the artist offered her $30,000 to sign her a non-disclosure agreement, which Morgan accepted, but saw as a betrayal, according to the testimony. Wow, look at the things you learn. What kind of friend is that? Your boyfriend puts his hands on me, and obviously you and he conspired to tell me not to talk and go tell nobody, such as the Inquirer, the Sun, the Nightly News, and you offer me 30 G's. You know Queen gonna tell it. You could have got more than 30,000, boo-boo, had you sold the story. Tink, tink, tink. Hell yeah, she don't want to be your friend. Oh, this is a good way to fall out with somebody. Because the one thing people usually fall out over is cheating and money. Honey. Oh, I would have read Miss Cassie. Because I believe she flawed too. Because Queen gonna break some shit down for you here in a minute about Miss Cassie. Oh, hell no. 30 G's. That's all I'm worth is $30,000 to hold your secret. I'm only worth 30 G's to hold your secret that your man like to beat you up and then beat me up. Oh, it couldn't have been Queen. No, baby. You got to pay me more than 30,000. You got to pay big girl more than 30 G's. How about that? You want to pay me more than 30 G's. Your boyfriend just put his fucking hands on me. I need a bunch of zeros behind the 3 to be quiet. To sign an NDA about all of this bullshit I've been eyewitnessing. She could have went and wrote a book. My time with Cassie Ventura while she was pumping with Shawn Combs. And she really would have had some tea had she known about them freak-offs. Because we learned that Cassie never told anybody about the freak-offs. So we still got to ask this shit and tell Mr. Alex Fine everything. Because I still refuse to believe she told Alex everything. The shit that she testified in court is so grimy. That's just not something I speak for Queen. Not something I'm getting ready to go tell a man. Day 1, day 5, month 5, 5 years in. Why would I want my man looking at me like I'm a prostitute? Unless he down with that type of behavior. Now, we got a lot of men who can be objective and look at you in a human way because you are a child of God first, no matter your sins and indiscretions. But you got some other men to be looking like, hell no, I ain't gonna fuck with her. She nasty. You can let 4 or 5 men do you, and you got your man taking pictures and videoing? Just saying. All right. So she took it as an act of betrayal, Cassie offering her $30,000. This is a lot for people to take in that's in the jury, because they really gonna start looking at Cassie different. Like, y'all still want to act like she was naive and didn't know nothing? See, this is adding to her character. That you so coerced and mesmerized by Shawn Puffy Combs. He's beating you, you're doing freak offs, and now you're offering your friend $30,000 to be quiet after he done put his fucking hands on her. Okay. The government has called his next witness, David James, who used to work with Shawn, okay, as a personal assistant during the time he was dating Cassie. Shawn Combs' lead counsel, Mark Agnafilo, has a pretty distinct delivery in his cross-examination of Carrie Morgan, conversational and at times apologetic. Agnafilo would often tag his question with and I'm just trying to understand, or I'm curious. He apologized to Morgan for asking follow-up questions about the 2018 incident in which Combs allegedly hit her with a wooden hanger. For her part, Morgan has appeared dispassionate in her testimony, speaking flatly and matter-of-factly. Yeah, she said she didn't want to be here. She didn't want to be here. Throw that in there. She didn't want to be here because she said she was done with this. I will be putting a short up about that. Let me make that clear. Miss Kerry did not want to come to court testify. She only came because she was subpoenaed. She said she was done with Cassie, Shawn, and their lifestyle. When that incident happened, she kept it moving and she was done. Because I was going to say, did she even think about, rekindling a friendship with her once she got with Alex? Obviously not. White girl said, I'm done. I'm done with you. I don't need this over here. And then you didn't offer the 30 G's, so you ought to let her know, Shawn, you got your head up his ass. You can't be a friend of mine because you're willing to ride around with your man beating me and paying me off. Hell yeah, anybody would be offended. How could you go back around her and him after that? Say, whoa. How could you go back around him or her and you looking at her like, I've been friends with you before you met Shawn Puffy Combs. I was your friend before you, boo-boo, you got famous and made a record. Stay woke, everybody, because I'm woke. All right. For her part, Morgan has appeared, once again, dispassionate in her testimony. She declined to elaborate when prompted by attorneys, saying she was unsure or couldn't recall certain conversations or details. A lot of people don't understand. Everybody don't navigate and work the same. White girl letting you know, I'm running this ship here. I'm not like Cassie Ventura. Cassie rode the ride for fame, money, addicted to the sex, the pills, whatever she had going on. That ain't I. I got my 30 G's and kept it moving. I'm out of here. She done betrayed me. I was her friend before she became famous. I was her friend before she met Shawn Puffy Combs. I was her friend before she decided to get tangled up with this man, and I'm watching her get beat up, and she's crying to me, crying to me, telling me all this. I'm done with this. And I told you all last week I was curious to her testimony and what she had to say and why she fell out. Now we know why she fell out. Because Cassie betrayed her with this NDA. Let's talk about it. The defense pressed Carrie Morgan about the end of her 17-year friendship with Cassie in 2018. Both Morgan and Ventura testified that their relationship ended shortly after Shawn allegedly attacked Morgan with a wooden hanger in Ventura's home. Agnafilo asked Morgan to recount her last meeting with Ventura, which took place at a pizza shop in West Hollywood. Morgan said Ventura offered her $30,000 in exchange for signing a non-disclosure agreement. The two haven't spoken since the deal was made. Repeat. Hello, everybody. They ain't spoke since she took that damn money. Agnafilo pressed her on why this was enough to end such a close relationship. Morgan said she drew the line at physical abuse, but didn't offer much more when Agnafilo followed up about the lack of contact. Okay? I don't know why she hasn't reached out to me, Morgan said, adding, I'm sure she doesn't have the same number. Okay? Now, defense attorney, stop acting like you're a fucking fool, okay? You know why these two ain't speaking. She felt betrayed. I'm this girl's friend. I'm listening to her complain about this black man. He beating her up, and he's doing other kinky shit with her that she ain't told me about, allegedly. And now they didn't involve me because he's putting his hands on me, and then she gonna come meet me at the pizza parlor with 30 racks. I got 30 racks to give you. Don't tell nobody Shawn beat you up. She knew then she was done with her. Because how could you ever look at your friend again after one, she's staying with somebody that put their hands on you. You were my friend, I was your friend. And friends are hard to come by. Let's keep this real. And a lot of people aren't friends because of shit like this, excluding the money. You allowing people to beat you up, mistreat you, then you go run to these people and complain. They're tired of and that's something we all have to understand. People get tired of listening to your problems. They get tired of you running and crying about what Pookie did and what Bubba did. Hey, don't call me. What we used to say about Jesus answering the phone. You think God don't put you on hold? Yes, he do. Yes, he do. Jesus, come help me. I'm in trouble. Jesus said, wait a minute. I'm busy. I'm on the line with Shamikwa over here. She got something more pressing than what you got going on over there. I'll call you back. I remember I had an old man tell me that one day in Burger King many years ago when I was working for this very wealthy white woman. And I took her to see a psychic up in the country. So while she was canoodling with the psychic, I went over to the Burger King and Big Lots did a little shopping while she did her thing. And I met this old black man who struck up a conversation with the queen. And he told me, he said, you know, God gets tired sometimes. And I said, okay, I agree. He said, you know, sometimes he don't want to be bothered. Which, you know, he poking fun, but we know God is always there. But I understood what he was saying. But sometimes when you call him, he may not answer. And you wonder, God, I need you. Where you at, Lord? Where you at? He puts you on hold. As old black folks would say, he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Exactly. Woo! I about felt the spirit on that one, honey. He's always on time. But us, it is different. Do you understand? See, God favors you when man and woman can't and won't. And God continues to deal with us when man and woman say, I'm tired, I done my part. And when people go below the belly of the beast, in the belly of the beast, and do heinous things such as what you're hearing in this courtroom, there comes a point when man and woman say, I can't do nothing with that. I can't fool with that. And Shawn is that case. Cassie became that case. I done rode the ride with you as far as I'm gonna go, Cookie. I got to get off right here. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you see, fooling with Shawn was a ripple effect. He's using all these people. He's talking down to them, manipulating them, bamboozling them, whatever the hell he's doing. People allowing him to do them any kind of damn way for their own reasons. It's this right here, the almighty dollar. But you're selling your soul, you see. And I get it, everybody got to eat. But you always got to remember now, at what price for your dignity, integrity. So everybody was selling their soul by dealing with Shawn. He's the devil. He's walking, talking, 2 arms, 2 legs on top of this dirt. That was Satan. He is Satan, in my opinion. Because he don't have no remorse. He don't care. And this girl got tangled up in that drama with Cassie and him. And now they're not friends anymore. And let's be truthful. Whether she reached back out to Cassie or Cassie reached out to her, even after this $30,000 NDA, shit could never be the same because she could never forget that. And she'd always have to remember, what about the next time? Whether she stayed with Shawn or she got with a new fella. You wrap me up in some shit, or I'm right here, eyewitness to something. I'll be right back in this hole with you again. And what you liable to do the next time somebody beat me with a hanger or push me down a flight of stairs, you liable to wrap my body up in a tub and float me out there in the fucking ocean. Because you love your man. Y'all better pay attention because Queen woke. You see, what did I tell you all last week about how deep this shit is with Shawn Puffy Combs? The only thing he has not been accused of is bestiality and homicide. And when you got somebody so wrapped up with another human being that they're willing to do anything such as give their friend $30,000, and we already know it probably came from Shawn, you would help a person hide a body. Are you following me? Are you following what I'm saying to you? Only thing he ain't done is had sex with a dog and killed somebody. Come on with it, Queen. He's showing you how low down he is. And now he got somebody working with him to be just as low down. And that's Cassie. I'm saying it, you ain't got to like it. Because you got to remember something. You wouldn't know none of this if the shit hadn't made it to court. So we are dealing with what's been told to us. And these folks are telling it. And I believe them. Cassie, she low down. Just like I was listening to somebody talk last night about Shawn. Shawn told this one dude, why you got so many friends? How you got all these good friends, Mr. Bonds? Y'all better pay attention. Shawn told him, I don't know how to be a friend. I ain't got no friends. The women, my friends. And what did Mr. Bonds say? That's the very reason why he in court. Them same women got your ass tangled up where the state done brought charges. Woo! Come on with it. See, that's why you got to be careful with the friends you keep, your company. You know, Queen talk about that all the time on this network. Be careful of your company, because you see, your company might be your downfall. Now, I'm not here to say they are his problem, because Shawn's the problem. He's his own worst enemy. But the same people he beating up, manipulating, wanting them to do freak offs, swing, whatever you want to call it, they the reason you sitting in court. Shut your mouth. She the reason she got a whole 20 million from you. Because you didn't know when to stop. Just like you told this guy here, Mr. David, stay in his lane. That's what you should have done. But you just kept going, pushing, going for the jugular. And now everybody got a story to tell about you because you didn't stay in your lane, Mr. Shawn. You didn't know when to stop bullying people, manipulating, conning, bamboozling, defrauding folks. That's why you in that courtroom. That's why the universe said, I got to get it back. I remember hearing that once in a counseling session. The counselor said, what you got to understand is that whether you believe in God or not, Allah or whomever, the universe got to get it back. The universe has got to get back what you stole. And a lot of people don't understand that. You can't keep going out here doing shit to folks. Raping and stealing and whatever the hell you doing. Whatever reason you think is right. I'm on drugs, I'm doped up, I like fentanyl, I like crack, I like this. The universe said, I don't care about that. Yeah, that's a personal problem. Because at some point you have got to stand on what you have done. And it may not come back tomorrow. It may not come back 10 years. It might be when you lie die, walking your dog in the park, and poop, 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 somebody come through there shooting. And what everybody doing? Crying. Oh my God, he turned his life around. He was doing so good. Oh, what happened? They shot him in the park. And you know, somebody gonna say, I know you shouldn't talk about the dead, but remember how he was living before? Shut your mouth. Remember how he was living before when he was robbing and stealing and holding people up and snatching old lady purses? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Well, the universe didn't. Pay attention. All right, let's finish this nonsense. All right, so she talks about she probably didn't have the same number. She's talking to the main lawyer for the defense. Police arrived at Cassie Ventura's apartment after she left at the Intercontinental Hotel, 2016. Ventura's longtime friend, Carrie Morgan, testified that after an enraged Shawn went to Ventura's house, banged on the front door with a hammer. LAPD officers arrived to find Ventura with a black eye. It is unclear who called, possibly a neighbor. Morgan said she didn't witness the hotel abuse and that Ventura covered for Combs, according to her testimony. They asked what happened, she said. She said nothing. She didn't respond. Morgan testified on cross-examination Monday at Combs' sex trafficking trial, which is today. They asked for her license. She said she didn't have it. Wow, deep. So Cassie was slick. You left the freak off where he beat you in a hotel. It's on the camera. You go home, got your friend there, got your ace, coon, boom, boom. And police come, I don't know. Ma'am, can I see your ID? I ain't got it. Wow, wow, wow. Mr. Mark Agnifilo, Shawn's lead counsel, has so far cast a pretty wide net with his cross-examination of Carrie Morgan, asking for her recollections about Cassie Ventura's modeling career, ex-boyfriends, and whether she was jealous of Combs' ex-partner, Kim Porter. Porter died in 2018 of pneumonia. During this questioning, Combs could be seen passing a note to his lawyer, Tenny Garagos, who passed it down to Agnifilo. See, Shawn didn't like that. Y'all start talking about that damn Kim Porter. Uh-oh, sticky note, sticky note. Now, the defense attorney began the cross-examination of Carrie Morgan by calling up a photo that was shown during Don Richard's testimony this morning. Don Richard, excuse me. The photo shows Cassie Ventura standing next to Richard and Kalina Harper at a festival in Central Park. Earlier, Richard testified that she had seen Combs assault Ventura the same day that photo was taken, okay? Agnifilo asked Morgan, who used to be best friends with Ventura, if she recognized the women in the photo. Morgan said she recognized only Ventura. The jury has filed back in the courtroom. Shawn's lead counsel, Mr. Agnifilo, once again, back talking to Miss Kerry. A founding partner of the White Shoe law firm, Agnifilo Inter has represented Martin Shirelli, cult leader Keith Raniere is currently on the legal team for the United Healthcare CEO shooting suspect Luigi Mangione, as most of you probably learned this. This is a fella you might want to follow on YouTube. Gene Deal. He is a YouTuber, has his own YouTube channel. Giving you a shout out, Mr. Deal. He used to work security, head security for Mr. Shawn. He has a lot to say about his dealings with Mr. Shawn Combs. And he's still been talking about his dealings. And you can also follow him on the Art of Dialogue. That YouTuber also has been interviewing Mr. Deal pertaining to his dealings with Shawn. Shawn Combs' former bodyguard, Gene Deal, was seen arriving at the music mogul's federal trial on Monday. In the past year, Deal has been vocal about his former employer's alleged wrongdoing, even claiming that politicians were involved in freakouts. Oh, shit. It is unclear if he will testify in the trial as a witness for the government. Combs has denied all the allegations against him. Okay. Generally, Judge Aaron Subramanian's decisions have been difficult to predict, and that he hasn't appeared to favor either defense or the prosecution. His demeanor on the stand throughout the trial has been somewhat professional. Talking to the court, provides detailed reasoning for his decisions and questions to attorneys thoroughly, often repeating their arguments back to them to make sure he understands. Subramanian could be described as thorough and patient, though he has occasionally been frustrated when the sides try to revisit earlier decisions or any other behavior that threatens to slow down the proceedings. So he's the one that wanted Cassie off the stand because she's pregnant. Hurry up, ask her what you got to ask her, show the evidence, and keep it moving, which I'm sure the defense did not like last week, but it is what it is. She's due. Nobody wants her having a baby in a courtroom. It is what it is. Okay, now we're talking about the judge allowing testimony from Kerry regarding comments Cassie made about not wanting to go to a hotel room with Shawn Combs. The government wants to pursue this line of questioning as part of its assertion that Ventura felt forced to participate in freakouts, which frequently occurred in hotels. Note, the jury has not been called back into the courtroom yet while they were discussing all of that. Okay. Now we have some mess about a Tania Wallace, 2022. Okay. Somebody approached this Tania Wallace with an offer, I guess pertaining to Shawn Puffy Combs. Black lady here. Let's read what they have to say about that. Oh, one jumped out. Sorry about that. Well, everything pops off. Screen sensitive. Sorry about that, everybody. This is a winded article. I didn't know it was as long as it was. Washington Post is the source. If you Need verification for this information. I'm almost an hour in. I didn't think I was going to be on this long. So we heard from Mr. James. We heard from Miss Kerry. He's going to jump back on the stand tomorrow. So Carrie had told, I didn't tell you this part, when she was talking in the court about love, Agnifilo was asking about them being in love. She did say she had seen Shawn strike her 2 times. Twice by Shawn. So that's what she's testifying in court. I'm trying to find my place back with this young lady. We'll know what kind of mess they done got him jumped into is with this lady. In late 2022, well before Shawn Diddy Combs got into real trouble, a man in Los Angeles approached Tania Wallace with an offer. That's the black lady's picture I just showed you. The man was a scout for soft white underbelly. And if you all have not checked out his YouTube channel, very gritty. He goes into the belly of the beast with his content. And a lot of his content is talking to homeless people, prostitutes, people, I guess, who sell used drugs. Check out his network. It's a very good channel. Soft white underbelly. Okay. So it says the man was a scout for soft white underbelly. A photographer Mark Lata's YouTube channel about people struggling with issues such as abuse or addiction. Wallace, an aspiring singer who sometimes made money doing sex work, took Lata up on it. $300, sitting for his camera and talking about her life. In the interview, she recounted an alleged incident in 2018. A crown prince at Brunei flew her from Los Angeles to Miami. Wow, a prince. Flew her from LA to Miami with the promise to help her singing career. Once there, he took her to a party on Star Island, an Uber-exclusive man-made enclave, home to celebrities such as rapper Rick Ross, retired basketball star Shaquille O'Neal, and Combs. The music mogul was throwing the party. Security guards took her phone before she could wander through the property. Now, how crazy is that? What type of person wants to go somewhere where they don't know people and can't even have access to their own phone? That's the sign right there. The people are up to no good. I would have said no, thank you. But I get it. Some wealthy people don't want you taking pictures so you can go make up some shit and then go sue. You're entitled to your interpretation of that. Wallace entered quite a scene, as she recently described in a Washington Post interview. Topless waitresses served drinks by the pool, she said. Inside, woozy partygoers were having sex as if nobody was watching. Wallace eventually encountered Combs outside on a patio couch. At some point, she says, he started masturbating. I'm done. Did you hear what she just said? People are in the house having sex, drunk, and she go outside, and Shawn out there laying on the table, laying on the couch, touching himself. Well, one thing we know about Shawn, he likes to touch his penis. Shut your mouth. Oh, Lord of mercy. So Judge Subramanian, at this time, this was 12:50 Eastern Standard Time, going to take a lunch break to consider whether to permit the government to question Carrie Morgan about comments about Cassie Ventura made that allegedly pertained to a freak-off, reminding the government and defense lawyers that they need to eat too. So remember, he took their lunch down from an hour to 30 minutes so he can hurry up and get everybody on the stand to testify. So I'm trying to figure out this information about Kerry repeating Cassie's comments about freak-offs, because our understanding, Kerry didn't know anything. This is why I'm not trying to be a hard nose, because a lot of you know I can be judgmental, okay? Something's not right. It's just like when I listened to one YouTuber talk. I will throw her name out here in a second. She said the same thing when I watched her live this morning. I mean, her content. She said the same thing. Something is not right. I've been saying it all week. Something ain't right. Because now, why would Kerry have something to say about a freak off when she allegedly never knew about a freak off? Cassie testified, nobody knew. That is what you said, Cassie. You said, my friend doesn't know. I never told her. I don't want the staff to know that I was doing freak offs with Shawn. But the flip side of that is, we're getting testimony that people who work for him set the rooms up and also cleaned up the blood and the urine afterwards. Doesn't mean they knew that she was in there, but you see where I'm going. Something ain't at it. Something's off here. I don't want to say this, but I'm starting to wonder what Cassie has told, if she has told the whole truth about some of the shit she done said in court last week. Because why would the judge need to go over anything Kerry done said when Kerry supposedly didn't know anything? That don't make no sense. The government wants to ask Morgan about comments Cassie made in which the singer said she didn't want to go to a hotel with Combs. And then she says, but I have to. Ventura was allegedly packing a bag full of sex supplies, according to Morgan. Okay, so how would Morgan know that the sex supplies unless she's sitting there watching? Hello, A Balance. Everybody, welcome, Mr. A Balance. I don't want to go. So maybe she telling a friend, I don't want to go. But she tells her, she responds to a friend, but I have to. And she says Ventura was allegedly packing a bag full of sex supplies, according to Morgan. Well, does that mean at some point Morgan knew? So we have a fucking problem now. Because Cassie, you said your friends didn't know, your parents didn't know. I thought, now your friend said she witnessed Shawn being mean to you, and I'm assuming you went back and told her times when he was abusing you, but I thought you said she didn't know anything about the freak outs. Once again, Shawn allegedly attacked Carrie Morgan in 2018 with a wooden hanger during a fit of rage over another relationship that one of his girlfriends, Cassie Ventura, was having at the time. So, another relationship that Cassie was having, allegedly. Morgan told the jury about the incident that appears to have led to the end of her long friendship with Ventura. I had a concussion. I was dizzy. I vomited a few times, Morgan said. Afterward, Morgan said Ventura approached her to sign a non-disclosure agreement on Shawn's behalf, which the witness signed in exchange for $30,000. Morgan did not speak to her friend again after that transaction. Now, U.S. Attorney Meredith Foster is talking to Kerry on the witness stand. Morgan said she would sometimes tell Ventura to leave Combs. Ventura would say that she couldn't, Morgan recalled, because of her job, her car, her apartment. Combs controlled everything. This is why I asked that question. If you didn't have but one album out, how were you making money? Because I learned she made a few movies. So how many movies did she make while she was dating Shawn? She only put out one album. Do you know how expensive it is to live in Los Angeles? It was expensive in 18, 16, 15, 14, 13, all the way back to 06, 07 when she first met him or came into his peripheral. It has always been expensive to live in California. Let's make that clear. Especially Southern California. It's very expensive. California has the most millionaires per miles. Stay woke. So if you ain't got one album out, it'd have to be a record-selling album or single, you know what I'm saying, to live off the funds. Don't know if she had a YouTube channel at that time, just throwing all that out there. You know, ways to make money is what I'm trying to say. So Ventura told her she wanted to leave him. Or no, Morgan was asking her about leaving him. And she basically said because of her job, car, apartment. He controlled everything. See, I have a problem with this. How are you controlling everything? You're not meeting up with other people to collaborate with music. You're not doing ads for JCPenney, Lancome, Gucci, whatever. Shawn is not supposed to be controlling those things. You are on a record label. If I want to go out here and get on a soap opera or a movie or a TV show, I can do that. Shawn can't control you want to go model for Gucci or Prada or do a commercial for Lysol. See where I'm going? Those things are separate. That's why you have a business manager. And from my understanding, the business manager asks her about doing collaborations with musicians such as Pusha P, Common, Nicki Minaj. No, I don't think Shawn wants me to do that. This girl was green. But then there's times when you can see she wasn't green. And that's where the jury is going to have a problem. Where there's times she looked like she could navigate for herself, going out here and messing with other men, leaving him, ignoring his phone calls. 50 times he called her because he couldn't reach her. And then he called this girl, Kerry, had his assistant call Kerry to ask her, have you seen her? Because she wouldn't answer her phone. See, so there were times when she used her head and left him alone and ignored him. She would have lost all of her livelihood, Morgan said. Prompted by Foster, Morgan said that Ventura did not have many friends at the time, and that Morgan was the only one of those friends who was not employed by Combs. Morgan said she noticed that Ventura would feel more positive about her relationship with Combs after spending time with these people. You could tell they were convincing her it was okay, Morgan testified. So basically, Morgan is saying she was okay when she was in the company of these same people who obviously were probably, watching the abuse. So they're aiding it because they're getting something from it. Don't y'all see what's been going on? Everybody's got their hand in a pot, and they don't mind getting beat up, hurt, talked down to, sexually assaulted, so long as they're getting paid. So this is a question I have that nobody is talking about on Court TV, Law and Crime, CNN, Fox. Cassie Ventura, did you ever get paid for the freak-offs? District Attorney, why didn't you ask? Defense, why didn't you ask? You all left that wide open. But you're hearing it from the Queen. Nobody's asked that question. She ain't doing nothing. She ain't making no money. So we're going to assume Shawn was giving her money. Okay, so now we got to ask, was she getting money for the freak-offs? Since he's paying the escorts, why not pay her? She used to start a video. You're filming her. Hey, it's keeping it real. Did she ever get money for the freak-offs? Somebody needs to mention that in court. Once again, Ms. Morgan said you can tell they were convincing her it was okay. So that means Morgan has to know a little something, perhaps. Morgan says, I don't think she cared if he came in and killed her. Well, that's all that would have been left. It's murder. I've talked about this 1,000 times. This could have ended up in murder. He's beating her up, throwing objects at her, vases, skillets. Then what would have happened? What would the cover-up been then? Had he beat her and she died? Just saying. Carrie Morgan told the jury how she saw Cassie Ventura in 2016 after she was attacked at the Intercontinental Hotel in LA after leaving a freak-off. It was a short time after the incident, which was recorded on surveillance video at the hotel. Ventura returned home in rough shape, according to the witness who had been staying at Ventura's apartment. She had her hoodie over her head, and she was kind of slumped and just dropped her bags, Morgan said, and then she pulled her hoodie back and she had a black eye. About a half hour after Ventura's arrival, Morgan said Combs began banging on the front door with a hammer, and Ventura appeared numb. I don't think she cared if he came in and killed her, Morgan said. The hotel video shows Combs punching Ventura in the face, throwing her to the ground, kicking her repeatedly, and dragging her. He attempted to cover up the incident, prosecutors have said. Cassie Ventura's former friend, Carrie Morgan, has seen Robin at the courthouse on Monday. Once again, Ventura testified the friendship ended after Combs threw a wooden hanger at Morgan in 2018. After the incident, Ventura said Morgan made a demand against the former couple, which both Combs and Ventura paid to resolve the dispute. So now we're getting another version. Now Cassie is saying she demanded money. So who do you believe? I got to write that down in my notes. Did Cassie say that in court? Because I didn't hear that. I'm never going to get off this live. I'm never I can't do 7 more weeks of this. This is too much. So today she goes to court to say she signed a non-disclosure. Shawn offered the money. Now here comes this. So this means Ventura told us in court. I didn't remember hearing this last week. It says, after the incident, Ventura said Morgan made a demand against the former couple, which Combs and Ventura paid. So both of them paid. Gonna put that on a poll today. Do you believe she paid as well as Shawn Combs? Some people are gonna find this hard to believe that Ventura dug in her pocketbook and paid her friend partial money to stay quiet after he hit her with this wooden spoon in 2018. Kerry said she watched Shawn act violently towards Cassie on 2 occasions, one at the home of Mr. Combs was renting in Hollywood Hills and another time in Jamaica. Morgan described seeing Combs push Ventura when the pair were in a bedroom in the California home. She couldn't recall the date. Morgan said she was in the foyer area with a direct view of the room, described seeing Combs push Ventura and was pretty sure that he had also punched and kicked her. Morgan said Ventura did nothing in response. Morgan said she yelled at a security guard she was standing next to, a man named Ruben, to do something. The guard made clear he wasn't going to do anything, Morgan said. And I'm sure many people didn't. We've heard this so many times. R. Kelly, all of this. These people rode the ride with seeing the abuse, trafficking little children and bringing them in and knowing about abuse, and nobody did a damn thing to help these people. It's fucked up. So the guard told her he wasn't going to do anything. Afterward, Morgan said she and Ventura left the house and hid behind the steps at a neighbor's home as Combs and a security guard searched for them. Morgan described another altercation between Combs and Ventura in Jamaica, 2013. Morgan said that after Ventura went to the bathroom, Combs complained that she was taking too long and sought her out. A few minutes later, Morgan said she heard Ventura screaming, sounds that Morgan described as guttural and terrifying. Morgan said she then saw Combs dragging Ventura by the hair. Now, this girl has beautiful hair. And I noticed in some pictures it's gelled down, but it looks kind of thin around the edges. I'm wondering if some of her hair has ever been pulled out by Shawn Puffy Combs. The witness describes this debacle between Cassie and Shawn as psychologically and physically abusive. Once again, Kerry stopped talking to Cassie 2018 when Combs assaulted her at Cassie's home. She lost her confidence big time. Morgan testified of her friend during the early part of the singer's 11-year relationship with Combs. She lost her spark. Morgan said she saw Combs hit her, pull her hair, kick her, push her. So they're just recapping everything. And they kind of, when you read these, it's like they're going backwards in their how they testify in court. Basically, the defense is saying Richard is only testifying and brought forward a civil lawsuit for the money. They challenged Richard's assertion that she didn't personally want to return to Diddy dirty money, the group Richard formerly was in with Shawn Combs and Kalina Harper. Westmoreland asked Richard if she understood reuniting would mean spending substantial time with Combs, including touring with him. Combs' lawyer then brought the questioning back to Richard's September 2024 lawsuit. When Richard said she hoped for justice as a result of filing the lawsuit, Westmoreland asked whether money was a part of that justice. Richard's complaint outlined financial grievances, including the claim that she owed more than $3 million in unpaid wages and royalties. That she is owed, $3 million in unpaid wages and royalties. Yes, Richard answered. Okay. So basically, his lawyer asked whether money was part of that justice, and she said yes. During the government's redirect, Shawn Combs at one point scooched his chair up and leaned forward on the defense table, appearing to look intently at prosecutor Mitzi Steiner, who was asking questions from a lectern that stands in front of the jury box. Guess he wanted to hear everything she had to say. Okay. So, Richard witnessed a 2009 assault on Cassie by Shawn, allegedly. She said he dragged her up the stairs after striking her for allegedly not cooking his eggs fast enough. She told the jury, no doubt, Richard said, no doubt that she heard glass breaking as if being thrown. Directly afterwards, she said, no doubt about meeting Combs allegedly held the next day with Richard and another bandmate to warn them to stay silent. In this testimony, she says that basically Shawn threatened her and Kalina. He called them over to his house in his home studio, locked the door, and told them that what they saw was passion. And where he comes from, people go missing if they snitch. And then he offered them flowers. So as I told you with the symbolism, could be, I'll give you flowers now, hell, because you might need them later if you run your damn mouth. They'll be sitting on top of your damn casket. So as you see, he's a bully, and I do believe he threatened them. And I believe they are the ones that confronted Kerry not to tell that he beat her. Because if you're threatening your own bandmates, your subordinates, you would threaten that girl after you just put your hands on her. What would be the difference? There wouldn't be a difference. Richard, who earlier said her initial recollections were hazy, but she was actively trying to forget that time, also explained why she had reached out to Combs after leaving Bad Boy, the music label he founded. One time was because she was trying to rekindle a relationship with choreographer Lorianne Gibson, who Richard said advised her to reach out to Combs first, Lorianne. So she must be gay, because Lorianne sounds like a woman. Not that I care, just throwing it out there. As for Richard reaching out to Combs to reunite Diddy Dirty Money, she said she did so to help a friend, former bandmate Kalina Harper, who Richard suggested was having a hard time. I didn't want to go back, Richard said about her own personal desires. It wasn't good. I didn't want it. So this is why they're questioning. You've dealt with this man. You see what he's about. You witnessed him beating up Cassie. You got your own deviances, your own issues with him. This is strange to me. And I find it strange that she would reach out to him knowing she don't really want to be back in the band. Then why reach out? That is strange. So I can see why the defense grilled her. Don Richard explained why her accounts over time may have had some missing details. Every day it gets easier to remember certain things, Richard said. I try my best to do it to the best of my ability. And actually, you will forget certain conversations and things because of, out of sight, out of mind. If you ain't thinking about Shawn and Cassie, why would anything stay on your mind about what you witnessed? You know what I'm saying? 10, 15 years ago, somebody starts talking about it, you probably will start saying, okay, I remember that, but I get it. Okay. At the end of cross-examining, Don Richard, defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland, seemed to imply a possible motivation for Richard's testimony against Shawn, as well as filing a lawsuit against him. Bitterness. Westmoreland asked about Richard's attempts to work with Combs after she left Bad Boy. She asked Richard if she was upset about not being signed as a solo artist to the label. Richard responded that she didn't care about that. You were trying to succeed for a long time, Westmoreland prompted. She says, I have succeeded, Richard answered. Go on, girl. She gave him the business, didn't she? Over the past week, Shawn's three sons, Justin, Christian, King, and Quincy Brown, were a constant presence in court, sitting in the second row behind their father's bench alongside their grandmother, Janice Combs, Combs' mother. Monday morning, though, that row was uncharacteristically sparse, with Combs' children and mom appearing to be absent. Wow. Excuse me. Sinus is acting up. So his mother and daughters weren't in court today. Oh, shit. Shut your mouth. So let's think about this for just a second. The girls left out of court early part of last week when the escort testified. They walked out. Now we're on week 1, And we learned the girls and Janice were not present. Why were you all not in court? The defense is trying to portray Dawn Richard as a witness who is loose with details about the physical violence she said she witnessed 15 years ago in various accounts she has given over the years. Have the girls and mom stop supporting him. I don't think you want to do that because somebody has to be the executor of his money until this trial is over. So the best thing you all do is act like you care so you can stay in his favor and get that damn money like everybody else is doing. I'm just saying. Y'all know the game. At this point, you would agree with me. We have several story changes, Combs' lawyer Nicole Westmoreland said to Richard. The former Bad Boy Records employee was prohibited from responding to the question after a sustained objection. Richard testified at the trial that she witnessed Combs physically abuse his girlfriend, Cassie. So we got the state objecting that she changed her story several times. She testified she witnessed Combs physically abusing his ex, Cassie Ventura. If the defense succeeds at chipping away at Richard's reliability, the jury could discredit what she has to say about alleged past events. Richard's accounts are being offered by the prosecution to try to corroborate aspects of Ventura's testimony last week, which that's why I said they've been arguing about that today as far as this being hearsay. But it's not hearsay if I'm a witness and I'm watching you beat up a person. I don't understand how that could be hearsay. But if her stories are changed and her versions, then that would possibly cause a problem. Westmoreland suggested that key components of Richard's testimony were omitted from at least some of Richard's interviews with prosecutors as they prepared the case. Richard may not have mentioned at points things she said at trial, that she saw Combs carrying a handgun and doing cocaine. Okay, interesting. Richard has a pending lawsuit against Combs, a fact that the defense is using to try to show that she has a motive to lie about her former employer. Well, I don't think she's lying about the guns because we learned that he did carry guns. They retrieved guns from both from his homes during the raid last year. He used drugs with Cassie. So why would I think she would lie that he used cocaine? Come on now. He has a drug problem. He admitted that during that video last year after it went viral of him beating Cassie up in a hotel. Okay. Dawn Richard has testified that others witnessed Shawn hurt Cassie. 3 incidents she described on the stand. She was with Kalina Harper, who was in the group Diddy Dirty Money, along with her and Combs. Harper, though, has denied ever witnessing Combs be abusive. Now, that's a problem. So the other young lady, Miss Kalina, she's saying she never witnessed. So she obviously talked to the state when they were investigating him, and I guess she didn't want to testify that she ever saw him abusive. Maybe she didn't see it. I don't know. This is deep. Richard filed a lawsuit against Shawn last September. She posted on an Instagram account, "While I fully respect Dawn's right to recount her experiences, I want to emphasize that her account reflects her personal perspective. It should not be interpreted as a universal truth applicable to everyone involved." So that's Kalina's point of view, that whatever Richard went through, Miss Dawn, that's not my perspective. Now let's ask this question. Kalina, were you paid off by Shawn not to tell the truth that you did witness him be abusive to others, Cassie? Just saying. Are you lying? Because Dawn says you and her were threatened when you all went over there to his home and he locked you in the room in the studio and threatened you. So a threat's a threat. Whether it's a threat to Cassie, he beat her up, or he threatened you. So are you also saying he never threatened you and Dawn in that room? Are you saying that too? All right. Westmoreland says Richard didn't tell the government about the handguns Richard said she saw in Combs' possession. She wasn't asked, Richard explained. Another alleged incident of Combs being violent toward Ventura that was included in Richard's lawsuit but not mentioned during Richard's testimony was a misquote from her lawyer, Richard said. Westmoreland is also asking Richard to revisit her previous testimony and interviews about Combs' drug use. Richard said on the stand that she had seen Combs do cocaine. She previously told investigators she hadn't seen that. So which is it? She saw it or she didn't? that's the point. If nobody asked her about seeing it in court, she ain't gonna mention it. She ain't gonna bring it up. I don't know. Now they go on about the egg incident. And that was 2009. Hitting Ventura with a frying pan. Notes from Richard's meeting with the government have her saying Combs threw the eggs at Ventura. Well, threw the eggs, picked up the pan, the girl fell. You're entitled to your interpretation. Would you agree with me it's been hard to keep your story the same in reference to this egg incident, Westmoreland said? No, I wouldn't agree with that, Richard said. I keep calling her Richard, sorry. Adding that she was sharing her recollections to the best of her ability. Nicole Westmoreland, who was leading the defense's cross-examination of Don Richard, joined Shawn Combs' team as jury selection began this month. So she's new to the case. Black female attorney feels a demographic Combs was reportedly seeking to include on his legal team. She is also a sexual assault survivor. You can read more about the defense team in this article by the Washington Post. So some people are going to look at you crazy. Why are you representing somebody who is accused of sex trafficking, prostitution, racketeering, and somebody has assaulted you? Just saying. Well, we get it. Defense attorneys represent all kinds of people despite their own trauma. During government questioning, Don Richard said the reasons Shawn Diddy Combs allegedly assaulted Cassandra Cassie Ventura varied. It could be Cass speaking up for herself, Richard said. It could be random. It could be her having an opinion. Richard named other Combs employees who allegedly witnessed this violence, including Bad Boy executive Harvey Pierre, assistants Capricorn Clark, and Mia. Another alleged victim of Combs who was expected to testify, as well as security staffers D-Rock and Roger Bounds. And that's who I want to hear from too, because this D-Rock person, it was said on one of content, The Art of Dialogue, and I believe this is from Mr. Jean. Mr. Jean said that D-Rock told him personally that Cassie was the one that gave the gun, I believe it to either him or Shawn, at that diner when Shawn left the freak off to go find Suge Knight. But that's not what Cassie told the court last week. She just said Shawn jumped up because he got a call that Suge was at the diner. She cried and told him, don't go, you might get hurt or something. I don't want nothing bad to happen. But she never told the court last week she gave a gun to one of these guys. That she went into the diner and took a gun and gave to one of them. So, Cassie, if one of these guys testify about that Suge Knight incident, it is not going to be the same version you told the court. And I meant to tell you all about that. Somebody says, I believe she would have done anything for Shawn. Sorry, I'm not trying to ignore y'all's comments. She said, did they say what he was doing with these videos? Was he selling them or just using for blackmail or personal use? I don't know, Sophie, because that's not a part of, I guess, the trial. I don't know if later it's going to come up about the videos, but that's a very good question. This is how I feel. Somebody could have gotten access to them, because we learned that with R. Kelly. R. Kelly couldn't read or write. He probably, at one point when he was making his videos, he wasn't keeping them secure. And that's how one of the tapes got out with the little 14-year-old girl. So whoever contacted Cassie, we don't even know who this guy is. And I'm telling you what I'm thinking. I won't doubt the person knows Shawn. And Shawn could have put him up to calling her, reaching out to her on IG. See, we don't even know how they got in contact. For the guy to say, hey, I got a video of you. Hey, I saw a video of you. Because what you got to ask yourself is this. Because this wasn't discussed in a court that I know of. If I'm wrong, fine. Who is the guy? How did he contact Cassie? By phone? Her phone number? IG? Facebook? Or he saw her at the coffee shop? Help me understand, because I'm confused. How did the guy contact her to say, hey, I got a video of you? Because what's the motive of calling me to tell me you got a video of me? Unless you want some damn money. So did he ask her for some money? See, I didn't hear none of that in court. This is why I said I don't want to keep hearing this bullshit with this federal trial. All this he said, she said from the reporters. I want to hear it from the court. I want to hear it from them. Because there's a lot of stuff I'm reading right now that ain't got no answer to it. Some of this don't even make no sense. The shit I'm reading right here don't make no sense. The stuff I heard last week don't make no sense. Because a lot of the testimony is open-ended. And if you're a defense attorney or a prosecutor, you know you never leave nothing open. So you all should have asked what she ever paid. Well, ma'am, how are you living? How are you paying your rent? How are you paying your mortgage? That's what the fucking state should have told day one. You stayed because you feared for this. You also didn't have but one album. How much money did you have in the bank? How much did you have in savings? You all should have told all that. You want to make it believable? Somebody says, I don't think they said how he knew. That's what I'm saying, Sophie. But we as outsiders are listening. We're thinking the way they're supposed to be thinking. Well, why don't you ask? Well, ma'am, how did you talk to him? Did he call you directly on your number? Did he knock on your door? Did he bump into you at the Publix? Did he call you on IG? Did he send you a message first and then you called him? And then the fact she said, oh, Shawn was upset. I don't believe that. This is the same person that's filming you and pimping you out. What would he be upset about? Make it make sense. So this is basically going on about her seeing him attack this young lady, Cassie, Miss Dawn. So she said between 2009 and 2011, she witnessed these acts of violence. That's the time period when Rashard was performing with Combs as part of the trio Diddy Dirty Money. She did say frequently she saw Combs violent with Ventura. He would punch her, choke, drag her, slap her in the mouth. Richard said, I saw him kick her, punch her in the stomach. Wow, this is deep. And the fact they got a picture of him hugging his lawyer, I thought this was creepy. Why are you two hugging each other? People are weird. Just going over everything. This is Don Richard, I guess, with our famous attorney who works a lot of high-profile cases, the blonde-haired lady. So they're going back to Friday. I'm going to end this because I don't keep talking. I'm an hour and 28 minutes. And I apologize for my main reason for going live. I wanted to do this later, but then I told myself, no, I ain't no need to keep going back live because you got other content you need to put out pertaining to the case of the kids abandoned in Michigan. I got to touch on that. The mother was in court last week, and I need to tell you what happened in court with that situation of the black mother who abandoned her children in a townhouse. There has been an update. She was in court. I need to bring you that. I got to bring you an update about Kohlberger. They're trying to say there's an alternate suspect. They're also trying to, I guess, throw in there were 2 weapons used, which we have not heard anything about 2 weapons. And the judge is upset also with the Kohlberger case because there's leaks that made it to Dateline. And what's going to be bad about that is if the judge decides to throw that information out, evidentiary material, and the jury can't hear it come August. Okay? The jury can't hear it. And I pray that does not happen if it's something crucial in the case. So whoever's putting these leaks out, stop it. I'm assuming they're talking about Mr. Gonzalez. He's the only talking bird that's been talking besides he and his wife. Welcome to the Vault Excel. That's the latest. The personal assistant is going to finish his testimony tomorrow. You heard from Kerry and Don Richard, and briefly from Mr. James. The reason why, David James, I wanted to go live, and I apologize for it going this long, but I brought you an update so you know everything now that transpired in court to the best of my ability, bringing it to you. I don't know how you're doing. It's crazy. The news has told you they could not report everything that was said in court by Cassie Ventura because of the graphic nature of what she and Shawn did. So everybody has decided not to talk about a certain thing that was said in court, but I'm going to discuss it delicately. Law and Crime told people, go Google it. And that's what I did. I did it. I did what he told me to do. So here we go. Lean in. Cassie Ventura told you she was a sex worker, coerced to do these freak-outs. Went along, text read where she acted like she enjoyed it, wanted a girl at one time. Shawn had sex with a woman 4 times. But this is what I want you to think about. Why would he sit in the corner and touch himself and have her do all the work with these men? She even testified that she was with 4 men at one time. They showed a binder to the jury that had 13 men in there that she recognized and had sex with. Also, binder number 1, they didn't mention how many men were in that binder. Are you all following where I'm going? She had sex with a lot of men. The court is claiming over a dozen. I say it's more than that. Why would he sit in the corner and watch his prize, his girlfriend, perform sex with other men? Anybody have any ideas? Because he's a homosexual man. He's hiding behind women. And now we have confirmation that during one of the freakouts, or maybe more, I'm not sure, because I'm not in the courtroom to hear the damn testimony, that while the man is ejaculating, he asks Cassie to get the semen and rub on his chest. Y'all awfully quiet down there. That is what the news could not tell you last week pertaining to the trial. I knew something was wrong when they kept saying, there are things we cannot tell you because we're not allowed to say it over the air. Well, Queen just said it without using the exact words, because you know what you have at the end of your bosom, and you know what they're called, and they start with an N and end with an S. Why would a man want to have another man's bodily fluid on his body wherever? Now, she never testified in court that Shawn had sex with a man during these freakouts. But I find it strange in a swingers, what is deemed as swinging is usually partners swinging. I sleep with your girlfriend, you sleep with mine. I sleep with your wife, you sleep with mine. I have never heard of the man going out looking for the men and he sit in a corner and watch his wife sleep with the man. And then he ain't sleeping with the man and then ain't no other woman in there. This is strange to me. I'm not a part of the swingers lifestyle, so I can't say who does what and how they do it, but I'm just saying, I always thought of swinging with couples. That way everybody can have a partner. That's where I'm going with this. It was always Shawn sitting in the corner watching her with the men. There was no swapping out, to my knowledge, because she didn't testify. But this is why I said perhaps she left some things out. So I want to know if she left that part out, that Shawn possibly engaged with the men. Say, well, why he only had sex with a woman 4 times in all these times of freak-offs? Why did she continue to do the freak-offs for so many years? Why she had the gumption to go out on her own and get with another man and this one and that one, but couldn't leave Shawn alone. And I do believe she still would have been messing with him had she not went to that memorial and heard him say that Kim was his soulmate. He don't got a soulmate because he don't even know how to be a man, let alone a boyfriend or a husband. He's never married any of the women that he has children by. Why? He's a user, a con artist, a manipulator, a baiter, a pedophile, a sadist. That is Shawn Puffy Combs. He loves no one. He has no real friends. Because in order to be a friend, have friends, you got to be a friend yourself. And he doesn't know how to do that because he doesn't even know how to be a fucking human being. Checkmate. Many people are grappling with her going back and forth with him, doing the freak-offs when they weren't even together. That doesn't make any sense. I'm not with you, we ain't dating, so what you calling me for to say, hey, you want to come do a freak-off? I'm not with you no more. So then we have to ask if she's a sex addict. Drug addict, sex addict. Possibly. Also has PTSD, diagnosed in 2023. The fact she got with Mr. Fine, who was working for Shawn as a trainer. Don't know how long it lasted, if he ever trained Cassie, but I find this suspect. Pay attention. There's a video of her in the YouTube queue on her channel where she shows her marrying Alex Fine pregnant. This happened in August of 2019. Now, mind you, a year before, she was supposed to be getting essayed by Shawn August 2018. So how is it a year later, same month, you're marrying Alex Fine? Come on with it, Queen, preach. She was dangling between Fine and Shawn at the same damn time. And I think she still would have been messing with Shawn had she not went to that funeral and heard what he said about Kim Porter being his soulmate. Because she said that was her cutoff point. Which leads me to believe, as a YouTuber said today, she still would have been fucking around with Shawn and fucking around with Mr. Fine. And guess what? She probably would have ended up in the cemetery because one of them probably would have popped off. And that's a dangerous thing, screwing these men at the same damn time. But she's used to that, right? Because she's doing it in the freak-offs. So this shows that Cassie learned how to wheel and deal at some point. So she's not this fragile, naive person. She was doing things that was naive and dangerous, but she continued to do it. And at some point, she was aware of her faculties. And this is how we know she's not that naive. She was dating a music producer who was 10 years older than her before she met Shawn Combs. He introduced her to Shawn, another music producer, and somehow she gets tangled up with him, leaves her label. They start messing around 2 years or so. He comes on to her in a hotel where she thought she was going there to talk about music. That's where she talks about the oral sex, her first time learning. And what she meant by that, I finally got the information on that this morning. He went down on her, and then he expected the same, and she said he acted crazy because she didn't reciprocate. So that's what she meant about being introduced to oral sex. Number 2, he asked her to come to Miami. She goes down there. Once again, she thinks she's going down there to talk about music, but she ends up having sex with him on the yacht, and the first time popping pills willingly. Now, are you still following me? Kid Cudi. He introduces her to rapper Kid Cudi, and at some point when she is not with Shawn, she starts fucking Kid Cudi. Then that didn't work out. She's back to Shawn and whoever else, and now we have a mystery NFL football player, don't know who he is, and he probably don't want his damn name out there. Then we enter in Mr. Fine, the trainer, that she said she met later, which I don't know what later means. And then she's married him less than a year of meeting him, and also got knocked up the spring of 19, and then she marries him in August of 19. Are you following this? Well, let me break it down for you if you're slow. She's not that naive. Because in order for you to leave boy A, who was 10 years older than you, to jump with Shawn, you thought you could get it better over there because he was wealthier, richer, could get you more, but he hoodwinked and bamboozled you and only used you for sex. Then he introduces you to Kid Cudi. You start fucking him at some point. And then you start fucking Mr. Fine at some point, who also knew Shawn. Do you all see where I'm going? It's a pattern. She's only fucked people who knew each other, which don't look right, which tells me she ain't that naive. Did I clear everything up? You're entitled to your opinion of Cassie Ventura. I'm not here to victim shame. I'm not here to say she was not physically and mentally abused by him. I'm not here to drugs. But what I am saying is at some point, she was a willing participant. She also is a party to crime, which is prostitution, because she knows it's against the law. And if you aided in any way procuring a prostitute, you are just as guilty as Shawn Combs. And I find that interesting that not even the state or the defense mentioned that in court. If they did, I didn't hear it. Why are you sleeping with people who are connected to each other? That doesn't sound like someone naive to I. I'm 54, I ain't dumb. California is a long state. And you want me to believe from California to New York to Rome to Miami, she could have met nobody else that wasn't connected to each other? Mr. Leslie knew Puffy. She leaves Leslie to go get with Puffy, get on his label, start screwing him years later. She meets Kid Cudi through Shawn, starts messing with Kid Cudi. That don't work out. Threats made about his car blowing up. It blows up. Ting, ting, ting. Next thing you know, Alex Fine is a trainer, hired to train her. Don't know where that went. And then she says, oh, I met him later at the gym. But then later led to pregnant and then marriage months later. Bingo card. Are you woke? I'm woke. This is what the jury will have to grapple with. She had free will. May have gotten beat up during the freakouts, at her home, at a hotel, on a boat, but you kept going back. And can't say that you were so mesmerized with Shawn because there were times when you ignored him, didn't answer your phone, emails, text messages, and hooked up with other men. You even formed a bond with the stripper who testified last week / escort. Some days you wanted to do the escort, the freak out. Sometimes she didn't. Told that in court. And what it looks like to me is she only liked the freak outs when she was on good terms with Shawn Puffy Combs. So this is my assertion of Cassie Ventura. She filed that lawsuit because of what he said about Kim Porter being his soulmate. She would have still been fucking him and Alex Fine and whoever else when she felt like it. She's angry and she was mad that she didn't get what she wanted from him. He didn't be the man that she wanted. But at some point she had to have known he was never going to change. It does not take 11 years to realize you're with a fool. You are with a sadist. He does not respect you. Matter of fact, he don't even like you. I don't think he's liked any woman he's been with. I believe he uses women as a shield to hide his homosexuality. Come on with it, Queen Preach. I believe he's in other videos where he is actually the star of the video and he is penetrating men and they are penetrating him or however you want to word it. I do believe there are boy children in those videos that are underage. Come on with it, Queen Preach. But in the videos with Cassie, she was the star and the dodo bird and the puppet. He has no respect for women. He has no respect for children. He has no respect for men because Shawn Puffy Combs does not respect himself. Checkmate. And the fact that he was arrested in New York when he turned himself in, had drugs in the room, baby oil in different rooms in that New York hotel, tells me and the public he had no intention of changing his life even before being incarcerated. Months before, the white boys on the plane, they're about to go overseas. That's when the raids happen. Drugs are on the plane. Judicial diversion, the white boy got. Shawn probably paid him as well. Keep your mouth closed. You have not heard from the white boy again. He has no plans on changing. And if he is freed 7 weeks from now, he will go back to freak offing, manipulating, conning, running over people, using people, blackmailing people, asking them to sign NDAs. Old habits die hard. But he's a freak, and that's his choice. But many people feel like he's on trial for his sexual preferences. Well, one thing that has been proven, he was engaging in prostitution and transportation. That has been proven. Now, as for the racketeering and the sex trafficking, you have to agree that she was coerced as a sex worker against her will. All times. Yes, that's my assertion. She was angry with Shawn because her career went nowhere. She allowed it. She had many opportunities to collaborate with other people, act, model, do whatever she wanted. She let Shawn control her business. That was a choice. Because we see the times she did leave him, ignored him, So she could have went on and made deals with other people, ended her contract with him first time he put his hands on her. Not year 5, not year 8, year 10, year 11, first day he hit her. Sir, I'd like out of my contract. You know why I want out? He would have gladly gave her out. It didn't even have to lead to the freak offs. First time he hit her. I'm out. And I want out of my contract. And then she could have went to another label and found somebody else and pray she kept her legs closed. Because what I'm seeing is a pattern. You don't have to like it, but how do you explain jumping from one producer to the next at about 20-something years old? 21. That don't sound like coercion to me. And they didn't prove that the Leslie guy abused her and manipulated her and sex trafficked her just because he was 10 years older. And that's what the defense tried to say last week in court. Oh, well, you did date an older guy, didn't you? Okay, so what? But did he abuse her? Did he mistreat her? She never said she was abused by him. So you can't correlate and compare him to Shawn Puffy Combs just because they both were older than her. That's my commentary. So if you are curious to what was not said on the news about Cassie's testimony, Shawn liked men's fluid rubbed up here. Like, share, subscribe. Drop your comments below this video. Follow the Queen on the Newsbreak app. Follow me here. Hit that like button. Share the content. And expect more updates for day 7. After this live is over, I will upload shorts pertaining to the information that you heard here in this live stream. I don't know where this case is going. I don't know what else they got going on. Right now, the judge is worried about hearsay from other people coming in to give their account of dealing with Shawn Puffy Combs. But in the end, it's up to 12 members of a jury to decide if he is guilty of the said charges. Some people say they don't see that he's guilty of those charges. But if you don't really understand what they mean, you're probably going to have a hard time understanding why he was charged in the first place. But as I said, he's guilty of the prostitution, engaging in transportation. He's guilty of that. That's been proven. That's been proven. Because by law, you're not supposed to pay anybody for sex, which he has done numerous times. Is he guilty of the said charges? Will he be found guilty or not guilty? Tomorrow you will hear from Regina Ventura, her mother. Mr. David James will finish his testimony, the personal assistant, former personal assistant. I think a male escort. Ms. Ventura is to testify, former personal assistant, Mr. David James, and also, I believe, another male escort will take the stand. We will see what he has to say. And once again, if a male escort testifies and he's another one, then that means, once again, the case has been proven for the engaging in prostitution by transportation. Because he gets up there and say, yes, I met him. He paid me. He made sure that I got to the hotel, to his house. He flew me in. That is against the law. And there will be 2 people who have testified of engaging in prostitution with Shawn Puffy Combs. And God forbid, he also says Cassie was there too. And that's where some people, as I said, may say, well, she broke the law as well. Because she was orchestrating it with him, which we heard that in court. That she picked out the men. So that is co-conspirator to prostitution. I'll see you soon. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $DeAngie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a wonderful week. I'll be back with a movie of the week. And honey, I can't wait to hear what else they got tomorrow. I couldn't wait to hear from Miss Kerry. And she put it down in court today and let them know. I kept it moving. They paid me off $30,000 NDA, and I ain't never looked back. That's deep. So now we can ask about Cassie's character. She was willing to sell her friend for the almighty dollar. Okay? And even if the friend offered, she probably felt like I was just an offering for asking for money, rather. Because he put his hands on me. So you now got to ask, who's telling the truth? The friend asked for money? Or Shawn and Cassie offered her the money? You've been listening to the Vault Excel. Thank you.